Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the instructions in the video description. You are up next.
What's going on, Bart?
Good.
Got a hand from 1010.
10-10 Parks, right?
Correct.
Okay.
It's about 3,300 effective.
Okay.
So hero under the gun with Jack of Hearts, Jack of Clubs. Opens to 40.
So hero, Jack of Hearts, Jack of Clubs, UTG to 40. Okay.
All right. Folds to the button. Who's a good pro? He calls.
Okay. Button calls.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
And then small blind, who's I don't think he's a pro, but he's a decent. He looked like a decent player. Played once with him. He was pretty snug, I would say, like pretty kind of conservative. Pre and post, like careful type. Looked like he knew what's going on. So he 3-bets to 150 from small blind, right?
So 40 call. So it's kind of small, right? Small blind to 150.
Yeah, it is a little small. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, big blind, who's definitely a very solid player. Maybe a pro, the reg pro. I don't know, but definitely solid. He surprisingly to me, he cold calls the 3-bet. So I was kind of like very surprised by that.
That is surprising.
He's pretty solid. Now, the only thing I'll say that possibly he was on a kind of short-term tilt because he was like leaving and he lost a hand quite before that when the guy rivered him. And he was like a little bit frustrated. Maybe that was the reason. I don't know. But anyway, he called calls. And obviously back to us. So I decided to 4-bet because of the
dead money.
The dead money.
Yeah.
So I decided to 4-bet to 550. And so the first kind of question is sizing wise. Like, I didn't know. Like, I was a little bit concerned about the 3-bet. Like, because that guy, like I said, he's pretty conservative.
The small blind 3-bet, you mean, right?
Yeah. And small blind should be pretty tight. I'm small blind versus UTG, right? That's pretty tight. But I don't know. I decided that I kind of have to 4-bet because of the dead money thing.
I mean, you don't always have to 4-bet. It's definitely a strange configuration when you see a big blind cold call. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't take that as a trap. I would tend to probably make this with the dead money out there. Maybe I make it 600. So you kind of made it on a little smaller side because it's going to be, I mean, when you make it 550, the pot is going to be 850. It's going to be like 400 for them to call. And if you make it 600 or 650, they might find some folds because you actually want some fold. I mean, there's going to be, the hand is a little bit difficult to play if you're going to inherently see a lot of overcards and then just denial of equity too with Jack. So I might tend to size up. I don't know what the answer to, and I don't think anybody knows because you don't get into this situation, all that. What is the specific sizing at 330 big blinds with a 3-bet and a cold call? And there's no answer to that. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, like what I was trying to accomplish is basically to get the big blind to fold, not give him the odds to, and just kind of.
Right.
I didn't think the small blind was going to fold anyway. So like if he's got like aces or something, at least like I'm saving a little bit of money, and it's still kind of a lot for big blind to get squeezed between. Yeah, I thought. So,
I mean, my gut is that I would go a little bit larger, but
okay.
I maybe 600 to 650, maybe even 700, because you have enough stack depth where you're not like committing yourself, But then you get into these spots where like, do you want to put more money in, even on a flop where you don't have an overcard? And that's the thing. Like, if you think the small blind is that tight, just because there's dead money doesn't necessarily give you the go ahead to 4-bet. You could play this as a call, but anyways, all right. So you 4-bet to 450. Does the button fold? I assume
550.
550. Right. The button.
Yeah,
folds?
the button folds. Button folds.
Yeah.
The small blind thinks a little bit and calls, and now the big blind also calls.
Yeah. So now the pot's like what, like 1400, something like that, right?
Like 1700.
1700. Right. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So the flop comes out pretty interesting. Queen of spades, Jack of diamonds, 9 of spades.
Queen of spades, Jack of diamonds, 9 of spades. Okay. So
we flop middle set in a 4-bet pot.
Right. And obviously you you're concerned here about the small blind having a hand like pocket queens. He can have it. I mean, when you start to think about the hands, because he doesn't want to, even if he has aces and kings, he's probably supposed to put the extra bet in. Maybe he calls with kings because you're fairly deep, but queens is definitely a hand that he could have here, obviously.
Yeah, queen's definitely a hand.
Yeah.
Maybe ace king as well. Like this guy, I don't see him like 5-betting with ace king, honestly.
Yeah. Right.
That's my read. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he would. Maybe he would even fold, possibly call. Like ace king suited, I think he wouldn't fold.
Right.
Call. But queens, absolutely. Like pocket nines, I don't know. Like he might fold, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so he checks, small blind checks, big blind checks.
Yep.
Okay. So I decided to bet 700. Again, I'm not sure on the sizing. I was thinking like how much to bet, again, kind of weird. Like on one hand, I do have obviously, a pretty big hand. But on the other hand, I want calls, but he could have queens. So I don't know. I bet 700. Like, what do you think about
Well,
that?
I mean, the stack to pot ratio is really like you have 2,800 left and the pot's 17. So if you bet 7, then it's going to be like 31 and you're going to have 21 left. I think you can go smaller, to be honest with you. I mean, there are a lot of action card killers too. You can never fold, right? If you're going to get coolered, you're going to get coolered. You can't fold middle set when you're going to be getting like, if you bet 500 and a guy check jams on you, like I can't see folding middle set when you're getting, basically going to be getting almost 2.5 to 1, right? Like in a spot like this. I mean, unless you really think that you just know 100%. But I would tend to probably bet smaller because you don't need to build a pot up that much. And I don't want a guy to make a hero fold with like kings or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I have I think about 21 and change left.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you bet 7, so you bet 700.
Right. So small blind like makes a face, like all that, kind of not happy, whatever, and calls.
Yep.
And the big blind folds, which I kind of expected him to fold, unless he got nines, which I thought he could have. But anyway, he folds.
Right.
So the turn is a very interesting card. The turn is a 10 of spades.
10 of spades. Wow. So it puts a one-liner to a king out there and another spade.
Yeah.
Right.
And another, and the spade.
Yep.
And now small blind checks again.
So small blind checks. Okay.
Right. So I want to ask you a couple of questions here. So what happened is I checked behind. That's what happened.
I think I think you have to check behind, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought this was like literally you cannot handpick a worse card. Like I really didn't want to see a 10. And 10 of spades is like literally the single absolute worst card in the deck, I thought.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Because he can have, like I said, queens I'm already losing to, but, ace king is a possible hand. And if he somehow had kings, then, I'm losing to that too now. So I'm like not beating, I don't know, anything.
Right.
Right. But so I did check, but what I wanted to ask you is, like, let's just pretend like two scenarios. If this were another spade, or if this were a 10 offsuit 10, would you bet in either scenario?
No, I wouldn't bet an offsuit 10. I just think that once the 10 comes in, you're just losing to too many hands.
Right.
So a spade, I think, probably doesn't matter. I think I continue to bet a spade because what are you scared of? One ace king of spades that just check calls the flop?
Right. So this is like, and I was actually discussing this with my buddy. If a spade came, and I was just thinking that I would probably check behind, not because like from his perspective, like now, like the only hand I'm kind of getting value from is kings, right? And from his perspective, like if spade comes and now I bet, like what is he beating? He's probably putting me on aces, right? But in case I didn't have aces, like he's not beating like anything, right?
Yeah, but if he has a high spade in his hand, though, like the king of spades or the ace of spades, he's going to call, right? Or you're just denying him,
Yeah. Well,
I'm talking about the turns like the 3 of spades or something.
Right.
So I think I would still bet. I think I would still bet a spade on the turn, to be honest.
Like very small, like very tiny, or
yeah. I mean, at the pot being 3,100 and you have 2,300 left, I might bet like 800, 900. Maybe something like that.
And if he check jams, we should have to call.
You have to call, right? I mean, how many flushes is he going to have? You still almost have equity anyway.
Ace king of spades is the only hand I think you can have.
And that's one combo, right? And sometimes people I don't know how often he's going to raise off with it, but he might just go with the pair and a high spade. But anyways, okay, so you check behind.
Okay. Yeah, I checked behind. So the river was like a brick deuce of diamonds, and he checked again.
A deuce of diamonds.
Yeah, and he kind of made a face, whatever.
Yeah.
And checked again.
Wow.
So,
I don't know. I mean, you just don't. I can't. So the only thing that so you wouldn't think that he would check a king here, obviously, right? Like ace king is the nut straight, right? And how often does he just have a king here? Well, that would be pocket kings, and that's credible. But he might check that though, as well on the turn. So really, the only hand that you possibly could get value from might be like pocket tens, which turns a set, or if he somehow had pocket nines and he played it this way. But if you bet the river, like, I don't know what bluffs you possibly have here, unless you've got like, I guess the bluffs come from like the 4-bet bluffs that you put in pre with like ace 5 of clubs or some bullshit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
I can't see betting here at the end. I just don't know. I think it's too thin on queen of spades, jack of diamonds, 9 of spades, 10 of spades, river's a deuce.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I thought pretty much in line with this. I checked behind.
Yeah. Okay.
And he did have pocket kings.
Yeah.
So I lost.
Yeah.
So like the river, I thought, like you said, I don't think I'm getting value for much. And like I said, the guy, now you see, like he was a very, very kind of cautious player. So he checked because he was just afraid of a flush, I guess. I don't know. But mostly the turn I thought was interesting. Like if it were a different card, like a 10, I think is basically worse than a spade, right? On a turn.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Much worse. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought it was kind of interesting. Like, what would I do if it was like a small spade? And
I assume that if the turn was an offsuit 10 and it goes check, check, and the river's a deuce,
well, he would bet.
I assume he's going to bet, right?
Oh, he's going to bet for sure.
Yeah.
He was just afraid of a flush. Just
that you were like sandbagging like a flush or something like that. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he put me on ace king of spades. Or I don't know. Like he was just afraid of a flush because the pot was gigantic. I guess Like he was a very, very cautious player. Like I said, I think he was afraid of aces pre-flop. That's why he didn't put in a fifth bet, even though there was a dead money between. But so anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting.
No, I do. I think it's an interesting one. I don't think that you did anything wrong. I just think that maybe the 4-bet is a little bit sticking out too much. Like just because there's dead money out there, you still have to play the initial range, right? Like it sounds to me like you think that this guy's super tight. So
yeah, I think he is pretty tight. But all right, well, thanks for your feedback.
All right, cool. Thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.